Meeting of the Committee on Legislation, Rules, and Policies, the Board of School Directors will please come to order. Will the Secretary please call the roll?
Director Herndon,
Present.
Director Jackson,
Present.
Director O'Halloran has asked to be excused this evening, Director Vanoy,
Present.
and Chair Zomber.
Present.
That's 4 present. We have a quorum.
The Pledge of Allegiance was recited at our previous meeting. This meeting is being conducted from the Central Services Building, and it's also being broadcast in the MPS YouTube stream, the links to which may be found on the MPS website and the Boardcast page. Anyone who wishes to access this evening's agendas, items, and attachments online may do so by visiting the Meetings, Agendas, and Minutes page of the MPS website. Before we begin tonight's meeting, we have a short announcement regarding interpretation services for the Spanish-speaking members of our audience.
Buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la Junta Escolar de las Escuelas Públicas de Milwaukee. Si deseas escuchar esta reunión en español, por favor llame al 312-626-6799. Otra vez, 312-626-6799. Introduzca el número de reunión 608-130-5362. Nuevamente, el número de reunión es 608-130-5362. Gracias.
For each of our items of business, we will hold a discussion and public hearing. If you wish to speak, please fill out a speaker slip and bring it to our secretary, Dr. Owen Moore. We have no virtual speakers registered tonight. For the sake of fairness and to give everyone a chance to speak, the chair reserves the right to limit the length of time allowed to any one speaker. Disruptive or disrespectful behavior will not be permitted. If it occurs, the meeting may be paused and those involved may be asked to step out so we can continue in a safe and productive manner. Thank you for helping us ensure a positive experience for everyone. And now, given that our focus this year is literacy, we have some help with our messages from one of our young readers, Oakland, who is a second grader at Story School.
Welcome to tonight's committee meeting. The committee will accept public comments on tonight's agenda items. Speakers may only address the item for which they have registered. Questions from the public may not be answered during the public committee comment, period. Following public comment, the committee will begin its discussion and no additional committees will be accepted. When you are called upon to speak, please state your name and spell your last name for the record like this: Tamika Jones, Jones. Written testimony will also be accepted for transmittal to the board. Send this testimony to the Office of Board Governance, P.O. Box 2181, Milwaukee, Wisconsin 532012181, or email it to governance@milwaukee.k12.wisconsin.us. Just as a reminder, Robert's Rules of Order dictates that all comments, questions, or requests should be directed to the chair, who will determine the most efficient way to address them. Also, no one other than members of the board, designated staff, and those who have been invited to present or participate in items of business will be allowed on stage before, during, or after meetings of the board and its committees.
Thank you, Oakland, for being tonight's reader. That was a phenomenal job. You got all the tricky words. If you have a child that would like to read for a board meeting, please send us a message to governance@milwaukee.k12.wi.us. Now let's begin. Madam Secretary, item 1.
Madam Chair, item 1 is action on a request to approve revisions to Administrative Policy 4.02, Buildings and Grounds. The administration recommends approval of the revised policy as attached.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair Zombor and members of the committee, Brenda Casselli, Superintendent. This evening, I'm joined by Dominic Maniscalco, Chief of Human Resources, to walk us through the recommended revisions for Administrative Policy 4.02, Buildings and Grounds. As always, we're happy to answer any questions you have about this item. Mr. Maniscalco.
Thank you, Dr. Caselius. Good evening, board members. Administrative Policy 4.02 is a recommendation from the Human Resources Department where we are committed to attracting, developing, and retaining exceptional talent that directly supports every single student. Our key guiding principles are equity, consistency, partnership, transparency, accountability, and execution. This policy recommendation is a minor revision to the existing policy that will allow us to cast a wider net when we are looking for our Senior Director of Facilities and Maintenance, in that we are asking for a little bit of grace post-hire in which the successful candidate can have up to 18 months to get their Wisconsin certification that we have required historically in the past. We had required that candidates have it prior to being employed or even applying at Milwaukee Public Schools. What we are asking for is that we now allow some grace in that candidates may not have it when they apply, but then they have 18 months to complete it. That's the long and the short of the policy recommendation.
But I think there's also,
Dr. Caselius?
Yep, Chair Zombor and members, we also added in that there would be a degree in construction, engineering, architecture, and then on the request of Director Jackson, design or an equivalent, equivalent is highly recommended. So I just wanted to point that out.
Thank you. Do we have any members of the public who wish to make comments on this item?
We do not.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Nope. Okay. Oh, Mr. Chasen.
Thank you, Chair Zombor, Ben Chasen, Office of Accountability and Efficiency. To ensure that no future strict interpretation of this policy language could be misconstrued or used in a way that does not meet the intent as described by Mr. Maniscalco, which I think is very well advised, maybe we could revise it to simply say registered within 18 months of hire rather than 12 to 18. I wouldn't want someone to prejudicially approach this policy as someone can't do it within 11, just to provide maximum flexibility for the candidate and for HR, just for consideration.
Chair Zombor, Mr. Chasen, you made that recommendation to us. We did make that. Somehow that is not in the materials, but we will make sure that that change is made. So if the motion could be made with the understanding that the change will be made, we did intend for that to be made in the materials.
Okay. Thank you. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson.
I move to approve the new revisions of Administrative Policy 4.02 with the new corrections from administration.
Thank you. Does the secretary have the motion?
So to approve the administrator's recommendation on policy 4.02 with a change to reflect within 18 months.
Sounds good to me.
All right, thank you. If there's no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation with regards to policy 4.02 with a change to reflect within 18 months. Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson.
Aye.
Director Benoit.
Aye.
And Chair Zomber.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 2 is action on a request to approve revisions to Administrative Policy 6.23, Recruitment and Hiring Staff. The administration recommends that the board approve the revisions to Administrative Policy 6.23 as attached.
Would the administration please present the item?
Chair Zambor, members of the committee, Brenda Caselli, Superintendent. This evening, I'm joined by Dominic Maniscalco, Chief of Human Resources, to walk us through the recommendation revisions for the Administrative Policy 6.23, Recruiting and Hiring of Staff. As you know, part of our HR audit, there were recommendations brought forward to revise some of our policies to help us move staff through the hiring process faster, and that's why we're here this evening with a couple of these policies. I anticipate a few more policies coming forward to the board as we continue to look through the audit and as we onboard with Chief Maniscalco. And so we'll continue to bring those, but we're happy here to answer any questions you might have on this particular policy.
I don't see any public comments
No
tonight.
public comments.
Okay. Do committee members wish to make comments or ask questions? Okay. What is the pleasure of the committee with respect to this item? Director Jackson?
Yes, I move to approve administrator's recommendation for policy, 6.23?
Okay. If there's no further discussion, the secretary will please call the roll.
On Director Jackson's motion to approve the administration's recommendation with regards to Policy 6.23, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Vanoy,
Aye.
and Chair Zomber.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, item 3 is a work session on policy review, consideration of, and possible action on Section 7000 property.
Would the Office of Board Governance please present the item?
Chair Zomber, members of the board, Dr. Tina Owen Moore, clerk for the Office of Board Governance. We have been working through the policy revisions with Neola, and this is our next batch of policies to be considered this evening. We will be happy to answer any questions people might have.
Okay. So we will begin our work session. Do any committee members wish to cite any policies for separate consideration? And I think we can give folks a few moments. We'll kind of stall in case people want to pull out their notes. Director Jackson, did you have a policy you'd like to set aside?
Yes, policy 7240.00, site acquisition.
Okay, let me, 7240.00, site acquisition. Okay, and Director Herndon?
7300.
Okay, and that one's disposition of inventory and real property? Okay. I'm just writing this down. And property. Any others that we'd like to set aside? Take a couple more minutes, and then just while we're waiting, if you want to see if you have another one, Director Herndon, just for the public's benefit. So the policies that are going through the Neola process, we are bringing them through the committee for work sessions, but they still won't get approved until the very end when they're all done. So even if there's something and we want to go back, there's still time to talk about it at the very end of the process. So these are not final. This is just our first pass at each section. Okay. Director Herndon, did you have anything else you'd like to set aside?
I'll wait on one.
Okay.
So the one is good.
Okay. So then, Madam Secretary, I think we need a motion. Oh, Mr. Chasen?
I can't make a motion, I'm not on it, but
Yeah.
if maybe 754008 could be discussed in conjunction with 7544.
Okay, so I will set aside sorry, can you read it again?
Yeah, 7540.08 and 7544.
Okay, so one is AI,
Yep.
and then, sorry, read it again, 754.
4, which is social media.
Okay, .00, use of social media. I will hold both of those over for discussion. Okay. And then, Madam Secretary, can you remind me, do we vote on the remainder now or at the end? At the end, okay. All right, Madam Secretary, what is the first policy set aside?
Madam Chair, the first item set aside was policy 7240, and that is site acquisition.
Okay. Director Jackson, did you want to comment on this policy?
Yeah, just on, once again, the process of it. Oftentimes, we, those on the outside, public, quite ask questions of how do you buy, how do you do? So just getting a better understanding to what that processes look like.
Yep.
That's all.
Administration? Do you have any, is there anything that you're concerned about with the way the
No
policy is
concerns.
written?
No,
Oh,
not
just
at
trying to
all.
understand
No.
more about what the actual
Yes.
process is? Okay. And I do think that this policy also includes the state statutes that require us to put the inventory, to give the inventory, but I'm not sure exactly. So administration?
Chair Zalmer, Director Jackson, this is an item I'm going to have to bring back to you. I'm not quite certain how we do acquisitions and negotiations just yet. I will inquire, though, and get back to you.
Gotcha, no problem.
I didn't notice anything discrepant on the policy, though,
I
upon
don't- I
review.
did not.
Yeah.
Okay. Do other board members wish to make comments or ask questions about this policy? No? Okay. Then, Madam Secretary, what is the next item set aside?
We need a motion on this one?
Nope. We can't do them all at the end. Okay, we can do that. All right, what is the pleasure of the board with respect to this item? Committee.
Yep,
Director Jackson?
yep. Am I just approving? I move to approve? Yes. I move to approve my policy number 7240.00, site acquisition.
Okay, Madam Secretary, if there's no further discussion, would you please call the roll?
On Director Jackson's motion to approve policy 7240.00 on site acquisition, Director Herndon?
Aye.
Director Jackson?
Aye.
Director Vanoy?
Aye.
And Chair Zomber?
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay, Madam Secretary, next item, please.
The next item set aside is policy 7300, which is disposition and inventory of real property. And that was set aside by Director Herndon.
Okay, Director Herndon, would you like to ask questions or make a comment?
Yes. As I looked at this, I felt that we as a group should look at this more closely in response to what we discussed earlier tonight with Dyer Field. And there's some kind of loose messaging in here for the last paragraph, for example, it implies that the district gets the proceeds from property sales. And not only for my information, but for the information of the general public, is clarification needs to be firm on that, because in my past exposure to this, the district did not get the funds. And maybe Mr. Chasen can help us out on this, but I certainly think it's worth discussing.
Mr. Chasen, do you have any historical knowledge about property
Property
sales
sales.
and who, and I think we can also get, and this is probably a question for administration, but we can also get additional information for the board on that.
Chair Zomber, Director Herndon, I did ask this question because of, any upcoming closures, and I was told that we were to get the sale
Proceeds.
price, yeah.
Thank
The
you.
proceeds, yeah.
Proceeds from the sale. But I think we should probably follow that up with the legal opinion as well. So I can get that to the board from our city attorney.
Okay. And I see Ms. Koala.
Yeah, the two statutes that are cited at the bottom of this policy reflect the fact that the board determines what happens with the proceeds.
Okay. Thank you. Follow-up, Director Herndon?
Thank you. I wanted clarification because I know in the past there were instances, one in particular, I think it was the sale of Phyllis Wheatley, where the board director at that particular time had to negotiate to get a few dollars out of the sale of that property. So that's why this caught my eye was, is it really true? Is it really not? I know that for her to get, Jill is agreeing that that did happen. So, I just want to make sure.
Ms. Koala, do you remember that?
Madam Chair, members, I do remember that issue, and the board was able to determine what to do with the proceeds, but the board member who represented that district made a specific request to the board that a portion of the proceeds remain in that district.
Okay.
So that was entirely a board decision.
That's
Okay.
helpful. Okay. Director Herndon, do you have any other comments or questions on this item?
The other thing was the OSPP that's in the first paragraph there under real property inventory. And it's more of just a review because of having new people on the board and everything, and they not having necessarily the historical knowledge, or even for the general public in this case, that statue in there represents one that we've mentioned over the years, the OSPP, which as we talk about the buildings that are coming vacant, the long-term plan that we have, the community needs to be more aware of this statue. So that's another reason why I'm bringing it up. Not that we can change it, but I wish we could. And if administration wants to say something about it, that's fine with me.
Administration.
Chair Zomber, Director Herndon, this is also something I am working on the attorneys for an opinion on. And I believe it is part of our legislative agenda as well, to change the law so that we do not have to have this moratorium on our buildings before we do bring them to sale, so that we can count on that as part of our equation when we vote on closing schools and repurposing them in a really positive way, not letting them sit for year after year for the community, so that we can make sure that that's a benefit to the community.
Thank you. Any follow-up?
Yes. So are you saying that we wouldn't, hopefully, we would not be held to holding that 2-year period?
Dr. Caselius?
Chair Zomber and Director Herndon, yes, that is what I'm hoping will happen, and what, through our legislative proposals, I'm hoping that we will get support in the legislature around that and from the community, so that would help us to be able to repurpose those buildings in a much more community-focused way.
Thank you. Good news.
Director Herndon, did you intend to set this one aside any further, or were your questions answered?
It was taken care of.
Okay, excellent. Would you like the honors of making the motion?
Yes, why not? Madam Chair, I move that we accept the recommendation of administration on this item, which is 7300.
Okay, Madam Secretary, may you call the roll?
On Director Herndon's motion to approve the administration's recommendations with regards to policy 7300, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Vanoy,
Aye.
and Chair Zomber.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item set aside, please.
The next item set aside is policy 7540.08, and that is, let me turn my page here. 7540.08, artificial intelligence.
Okay. Mr. Chason, would you like to make a comment on this one?
Yeah, thank you, Chair Zomber. Matt Chason, OAE. I'm going to compare this to the social media, which is 7544. The last sentence in the artificial intelligence states that the administration will refer any illegal acts to law enforcement, and there's no discretion in that will. And I'm comparing that to the language that appears in 7544. And in that particular policy, if you go to page 3 of 3 at the beginning, the paragraph that begins there, the second sentence reads, if employee volunteers communication interferes with their ability to effectively perform their job or violates state or federal law, board policies, or administrative guidelines, the district may impose disciplinary action and or refer the matter to appropriate law enforcement authorities. And to the degree that in one instance, the district is committing a referral to law enforcement, and the other, it may be discretionary, there may be an opportunity for discussion on whether or not we want to have just a standard that where there's identification of a violation of state or federal law that we will make that referral. I offer that in the context of reports with respect to DPI recently, where there was scrutiny applied to whether or not appropriate law enforcement referrals were made with respect to knowledge or information that were gathered by the agency. So I just offer that up for discussion and consideration whether or not we want a standard of a shall or a will refer or discretionary. Thank you.
Administration, do you have any thoughts on that? I mean, we could also take this, I mean, we could take the policy, I mean, assuming the language was looked at by Neola's attorneys, but do we need, is this something we want to take back?
I know they do go very, they go through those shall and
Yeah.
may with us very much so, and one handcuffs the district and the other one, offers that choice. But, I mean, we could go back to them to make sure that we have the proper use of may and shall in this case, in these cases.
Administration?
Chair Zambor, Matt Chason, Dr. Owen Moore. I would also say to go back and look at this, mostly because the first one, it is a small sentence. The administration will refer any illegal acts to law enforcement. I mean, it's very clear. But the policy, the other policy, what's the number on it? 7544, use of social media. There are multiple, it's an employee, it's a volunteer, it's about performing their job, it's violating state or federal, it's board policy, it's administrative guidelines. I mean, there's just a number of things within there that could go wrong. And so I would say that should probably, I don't know that the first one needs to be looked at with artificial intelligence. I think I would recommend passing that one, but, and being strong about that, because of course anything illegal should be reported. But the other one I think is convoluted and kind of a more run-on sentence that has too many things included within one sentence, in my opinion, for policy.
Okay, do any committee members have other questions or comments regarding those? Mr. Chason, do you have, did you want to make another, we have to talk about the one first. Can we talk about both of them together? Okay. Did you want to make any other comments about the social media while we're on it?
No, I would echo what Dr. Casillas said. I think having a strong stance on the first one is well advised, and then maybe some additional time to unpack the unfortunate complexity in the current wording in the social media one.
Okay. So then I would actually make a motion to approve 754.008. Can I do both of them in one, Ms. Qual? Okay. And then hold 754.00. Oh, that's it, 754.00, use of social media. Okay. Madam Secretary, if there's no discussion, would you please call the roll?
On Chair Zomber's motion to approve policy 7540.08 and to hold policy 7544.00. Director Herndon.
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Benoit,
Aye.
and Chair Zomber.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Okay. If there's no other policies set aside, the chair will ask for a motion to approve the balance of the draft policies in tonight's packet. May I have the motion, please? Director Benoit?
So move.
Okay. Madam Secretary?
On Director Benoit's motion to approve the balance of the policies in Section 7000, Director Herndon,
Aye.
Director Jackson,
Aye.
Director Benoit,
Aye.
and Chair Zomber.
Aye.
That's 4 ayes, the motion passes.
Madam Secretary, next item, please.
Madam Chair, that was the last item on this meeting's agenda.
There being no further business before the committee, this meeting is adjourned.